Well, clap your hands, everybody. This is a part of our Saturday morning initiative, our Saturday morning town hall, and we are taping for our national broadcast. And so I want to thank you. Clap your hands again for your presence and the presence of our national audience. On behalf of Reverend Jesse Jackson, our founder and our president, we are so very thankful to have this opportunity to reach you wherever you are. And at the bottom of the screen are several platforms that you can become engaged with, starting at www.rainbowpush.org, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and subscribe to that channel. I'm Bishop Tavis Grant, the acting National Executive Director, and we are keeping hope alive. Let's give it up for Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. You know, this election is so critical and consequential, not that all elections don't bear that weight, but this one particularly, given all of the energy nationally that has been exercised by those who want to succeed from the Union, those who are insurrectionists, and those who are seeking to suppress the vote at all costs. In over 34 states, there's some form of legislation that has been created by state legislatures to make it impossible for even one to get water standing in the line to vote, or curtailing early voting, or moving polling spots, or now intimidation and bullying outside of locations where people are dropping off their votes. And so it's so very important that we understand that no matter who wins the election, in these states, the most important chair is who sits in that Supreme Court. And they can overturn and override these legislative means, or they can make things better. And so today we're focusing on criminal justice reform and the judiciary, and we have some exciting guests who are going to share, and those who are even candidates for these various positions. But hey, before we do that, we want to have some music from our Freedom Singers. Let's give a round of applause for them.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Well, come on. Can I get you to just to clap your hands with us? Can we get you just to clap your hands with us a little bit? We just want to start this morning off right with the person who created us all, got us all here to this day. So can we just clap our hands, everybody? Say, let's have church. Can I get you to do it with me? Everybody say, let's have church. Come on. Everybody clap your hands and say, let's have church. Come on. Everybody clap your hands and say, let's have church. All right. If we was back home, we'd say it like this. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the That's it. Praise the Lord, everybody. Yeah. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, everybody. Yeah. Praise the Lord. Say praise the Lord, everybody. Come on, clap your hands. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Say praise the Lord, everybody. Yeah. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, everybody. Yeah. Hey, say let's have church. Come on, everybody, clap your hands. Everybody. That's it. Say let's have church. Come on, we having a good time this morning. Say let's have church. Let's have church. Hey, I don't know what you really came to do, but let's have church. Let's have church. Yeah. Come on, the next part says this. Listen. I get joy when I think about what he's done for me. I get joy when I think about what he's done for me. Say, I get joy when I think about what he's done for me. I get joy when I think about what he's done for me. Oh, you can't tell it, let me tell it. What he's done for me. See, Oh, you can't tell it, let me tell it.
What he's done for me.
Oh, you can't tell it, let me tell it.
What he's done for me.
Say, you can't tell it, let me tell it.
What he's done
Let's
for
have
me.
church.
Let's have church.
Come on, clap your hands with us. Say, let's have church.
Let's have church.
Hey, yeah. Let's have church. Come on.
Let's have church.
Come on, clap your hands, everybody. Say, let's have church.
Let's have church.
Oh, yeah. Come on. This song says, I'm a soldier.
In the army.
Come on, help me sing it. I'm a soldier.
In the army.
Say, I'm a soldier.
The army of the Lord.
Say, I'm a soldier. Come on, clap your hands. Say, I'm a soldier.
The army of the Lord.
Say, I'm a soldier.
The army.
Said, I got my sword and my shield.
The army of the Lord.
I've got my sword and my shield. Said, I'ma serve him till I die. Yeah. Said, I'ma serve him till I die. Hey, I will serve him till I die. Come on, clap your hands. I'ma serve him till I die. Let's have church. Come on, clap your hands. That's it. Let's have church. Come on. We're going to sing one more time. Let's have church. Oh, yeah. Say, let's have church. Come on, let's talk about the person who brought us here. Well, say, what's his name? Say, what's his name? I know you can help me. Call on the name. This name has power. This name has strength. This name has joy. This name has peace. This name will get you through. This name will bring you through. Call on the name. Call on the name. This name has power. Power to heal. Power to save. Power to deliver. Call on the name. Call on the name. Call on the name. Call on the name. What do you know about Jesus? Jesus. Come on and call him. Come on and call him. What do you know about Jesus? What do you know about Jesus? Say, what do you know? What do you know about him? What do you know about Jesus? Well, come on and clap your hands, everybody. If you got freedom, come on and clap your hands. Oh, yeah.
Well, we want to thank you so very much. We are in the Evans Chapel, and the legacy of Reverend Dr. Clay Evans lives on here at Rainbow Push as we are approaching the most consequential election of our time. And we are so very thankful to have as an icon and a leader with great resilience who has registered over 7 million people all by himself, Jesse Lewis Jackson. Let's give it up for Reverend Jackson. We want to make sure that you're informed, engaged, and empowered, and one who is coming now has the capability and the capacity to do that. He's going to talk about the importance of elections. Professor Emeritus of the Northeastern University, Dr. Robert Starks. Let's receive him now.
Thank you for inviting me here in the Evans Chapel. I appreciate that. Let me start off by saying, in effect, that voting is extremely important.
Yes, sir.
Let me just lay the foundation by being a little professor here today. The best definition of politics is that it is a process whereby a society decides who gets what, when, and how. In other words, it is the ways in which people gain, use, and lose power. Please understand that politics is about power, okay? Vote And voting is a formal indication of a choice between two candidates or a choice between courses of action, i.e., the right to participate in an election, thus the right to participate in that power of who gets what, when, and how. Democracy, on the other hand, is simply ruled by the people, i.e., people power, okay? Abe Lincoln, in his Gettysburg Address, said that democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, historically, from the beginning of this nation, African Americans were not considered people. We were enslaved as chattel, like cows and horses and mules. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote those famous words, I quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such just form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness." Now, this was directed and written by white people that did not include African Americans. We blacks were considered non-people, non-human beings, people who are not equal to their fellow neighbors and fellow citizens. These were the right-wing people, and they wrote for, of, and by themselves. Too many right-wing Americans in 2022 see black people as a block to their natural-born right to power. Clearly, without universal voting rights to all citizens, there is no democracy, because voting is the foundation of a democracy, okay? Thus, this nation has never been a true democracy. Let me repeat that. This nation has never been a true democracy, okay? Thus, we have witnessed attempts to make it a full democracy, but each time we've done that, there's been forces that have pushed us back. At the end of the Civil War, the Republican-controlled House and Senate passed the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery, in 1865. And in the 14th Amendment, which followed, it says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens with all the privileges of citizens, which included the right to vote. And that was set out in the 15th Amendment. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the U.S. or any state or on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The Constitution guaranteed the right of everybody to vote. The 15th Amendment did not give women the right to vote, so we still didn't have universal democracy in this country. Women did not get the right to vote until 1920. In the 19th Amendment, states like Florida today still denies current and former prisoners the right to vote. The vote and the unfettered right to vote is a definition of democracy. This country has never been a true universal democracy. We have made bold and great strides toward it, but we have not yet achieved it. Thanks to the rights and the pushes and struggles of the civil rights movement and our ancestors, all the way from Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman and others, we are now at another basic point of trying to push this country into a true democracy. The Jim Crow era, the KKK, pushed us back at the end of Reconstruction. 100 years later, in 1965, the Voting Rights Act was put in place, and it was crippled in 2013 in the U.S. Supreme Court, led by none other than Justice Charles Thomas, who got into Yale University on affirmative action, but yet now he is saying affirmative action is unconstitutional. All right, excuse me. Thus, every attempt to transform this nation's government into a true democracy has been blocked by white Christian nationalists who have never respected the rights of Black Americans, brown Americans, and indigenous people. The MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, is a movement that's bound and determined to move this country back to pre-1965. That's what it's all about. When you hear MAGA, think pre-1965. That's what it's all about, okay? It is about restoring and protecting white power at the expense of Black, brown, and indigenous people. Now, what do we do about this? We must understand that every Black vote can help move the needles toward a true democracy, especially our young people. You know, our young people are lost. They don't vote. The majority of voters in this country, in this city, are over 50. Most of them are women. Most of them go to church every Sunday. Young people do not go to church. Young people don't go out and vote. We've got to do something about that. We have to understand that our vote in Chicago, Detroit, New York City, Los Angeles, and around the country will have the positive effect of keeping progressive legislators in the majority in the House and in the Senate. And they can then pressure President Biden into making the John Lewis Voting Rights Amendment a top priority, as well as the George Floyd Police Reform Act. In addition, rescue Haiti from its disaster, make and have some progressive immigration passed in this country. You see, many of our young people don't understand that in addition to people coming from Mexico, people come from all over Latin America, and many of them are Black. So you say, well, I don't care anything about this immigration. That's insane. Honduras has a hell of a large immigration of Africans, Afro-Latinos. So we must pay attention to that. We had to have a majority in the House and Senate to turn around and make immigration real in this country. Secondly, we have to pay some attention to African people on the African continent. Here we are spending $100 billion in a year to Ukraine. And yet we are overlooking the people on the continent of Africa, okay? We must force, number two, we must vote so we can have progressive majority in the House and Senate, and force this government to finally stop the massive dumping of guns and drugs in our community that was designed to depopulate the inner city and repopulate it with middle-class people. Let me stop 1 minute. I'm sick and tired of politicians and elected officials talking about the middle class. Nobody mentions poverty. Nobody mentions homeless people. So we've got to vote to put progressive people in office so that we can turn around that dialogue and put some attention on poor people and homeless people. Third, our vote here with a progressive majority in control of the government can put an end to the racist, anti-so-called critical race theory and book banning throughout this country. Fourth, we must shut down the Trump fascist right-wing movement that foments violence and finally put Mr. Trump in jail. 5, we must vote to send our brother Jackson, to Congress, where he will join the Progressive Caucus in the House and carry out this agenda. 6, our votes and donations to people like Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, Stacey Adams for governor in Georgia, Val Demings in North Carolina, Gretchen Whitmer for governor in Michigan, Warnock to the Senate in Georgia, Mandela Barnes from the state of Wisconsin, Fetterman in Pennsylvania, and Cortez Masto from Nevada, and Kelly from Arizona. These are the people that will help us maintain a majority in the Senate. Number 7, we must vote to donate to those progressives candidates in order to maintain control of the House and the Senate, in order to see the progressive movement that we truly need to make this a true democracy. Without a progressive majority, we will see a bold movement backward to the pre-1965 America that will nullify the struggles for civil rights from Frederick Douglass to Martin Luther King, Harold Washington, and Jesse Jackson. Let us get to work, people. Black votes matter. Progressive votes matter. After November 8th, let us move immediately to form a voter registration and get out the vote movement to elect a progressive mayor for the city of Chicago. Please remember that we must gear up for the election of a progressive mayor so that we can see an end to the downgrade of our schools, because our school system is totally out of order. Please be aware that polls and polling can be a weapon as well as an advantage, because polling does not reach all of the African American community nor the Latino community, and it definitely overlooks the indigenous community. So when people say one progressive candidate is 5 points behind or 10 points behind, understand that in some cases that can be a way of discouraging their supporters from coming out to vote. Thank you very much.
Dr. Robert Starks. You know, key to this time of mobilization and gathering and organizing is understanding the power of labor. Illinois has some of the most progressive legislation of any state in the union, and we're seeking now to pass a piece of legislation called the Workers' Rights Amendment. The right to organize, the right to have fair wages and benefits and profit sharing is fundamental to raising those, as Dr. Starks talked about, that at the bottom into the middle, and from the middle upward. From the Foundation for Fair Contracting, let us receive Tremaine Berry.
Thank you, and it's a wonderful pleasure to be able to speak to you guys today. My name is Tremaine Berry. I am I'm the governmental affairs person for the FFC, and I'm here to talk about the Workers' Rights Amendment. The Workers' Rights Amendment adds language to the Illinois Constitution to guarantee the right of workers to organize and collectively bargain for fair wages, meaningful benefits, and safety at work. Why is this important? The Workers' Rights Amendment will give workers the freedom to bargain collectively to negotiate wages, hours, and working conditions. We've seen workers in nearby states harmed by anti-worker politicians, and the Workers' Rights Amendment will guarantee workers are protected no matter who is in power in Springfield. Higher wages and stronger economy. By guaranteeing workers can bargain collectively, the Workers' Rights Amendment will put more money in the pockets of Illinois families, helping our economy grow and our families thrive. Better safety protections. The Workers' Rights Amendment ensures workers can speak out about dangerous situations that put all Illinois residents at risk and collectively bargain to make their workplace safer. Protect our first responders. The Workers' Rights Amendment will give first responders the tools they need to keep all of us safe. When you go to vote this November 8th, you'll see on the ballot the proposed amendment to the 1970 Illinois Constitution. The proposed bill would add a section to the Bill of Rights article of the Illinois Constitution that would guarantee workers the fundamental right to organize and bargain collectively and to negotiate wages and hours, working conditions, and promote their economy, welfare, and safety at work. It would also prohibit from being passed by any law that interferes with, negates, or diminishes the rights of employees to organize and bargain collectively over their wages, hours, and other terms and conditions of employment and workplace safety. At the general election to be held November 8, 2022, you will be called upon to decide whether the proposed amendment should become part of the Illinois Constitution. So one of the most talked about and questioned things with this bill, will this amendment raise taxes? No, it won't. Workers don't have the ability to raise taxes, only politicians do. In fact, the Workers' Rights Amendment will put more money into workers' pockets to pay for rising costs of everything, including tax bills. Another question we get a lot, I've heard people are hearing that this only applies to government workers. The Workers' Rights Amendment will enhance, The Workers' Rights Amendment would apply to all workers. Federal, state, and local laws will still apply as well, but Workers' Rights Amendment will ensure fundamental rights are protected. So no, this would apply to all workers throughout the state of Illinois. The third question we get a lot, I've heard that this is going to help only union workers. A collective bargaining raises wages of all workers, union or non-union, because employers have to compete with the wages and benefits and attract workers. In fact, data from the federal government shows that the workers make an average $11,000 more in states with collective bargaining protections compared to anti-worker states. So in general, this will enhance anything that is already in place and also allow for people that work at, you could work at Amazon. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're an Illinois resident, you and the people that you work with would be allowed to come together and collectively bargain. So, in states where, let's say they have a company like Hobby Lobby, I don't want to use anyone because that might be bad, but let's say if you have a company that traditionally is in a predominantly African American neighborhood or community, and they pay people a certain amount, and they say that they have the same business in Illinois, let's say that they usually pay less because, you know, that's just what they usually able to get away with. When it comes to Illinois, you won't be able to get away with that anymore. You have to raise the wages to match what people actually want. So, you know, that's important. And also the safety precaution element of it. It allows people to come together and, you know, talk about some of the issues that they might see at work that are dangerous without fear of being fired or terminated by their employers. So yeah, I'm a local 150 union member, operating engineer union member, and I mean, being a part of a union and having the ability to negotiate my contract and not feel as if, you know what, if I say that I feel as if I should get paid more because I'm working X amount of hours, I might get fired. I can only imagine what that'll feel like for people that work in, you know, in any field. You know, it allows us all to have the ability to really say what we feel like we deserve. So, you know, my name is Tremaine Berry. Once again, I'm here to just talk about Workers' Rights Amendment. I'll be here after after just to speak to people if anybody has any questions or want any materials about the Workers' Rights Amendment. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody say right to work, right to organize, right to work, right to organize. Give it up for the Workers' Right Amendment. It's the right thing at the right time. Those of you who are watching, go to www.rainbowpush.org or follow us on all of our platforms, especially YouTube, and subscribe to that channel. You know, the judiciary is critical, as there are those who are organizing to make sure at the highest level of our state legislature that they can have power and influence that goes all the way down to the local level. And a person who is very skilled and very knowledgeable as it relates to the judiciary is coming now. William McNary, Executive Director, Citizens Action, Illinois. Let's give it up for him.
Well, good morning. My mom always told me you can tell what kind of a crowd you're standing in front of by the way they greet friends or by the way they greet strangers when they greet you. So let's try that again. Good morning. Good morning. Now that's more like it. You all do my mama proud. It's so nice to see all the folks you love together. What a joy. What an honor, what a treat to be standing here in this important place at this important time where a lot of important history has been made. Dr. Cornel West once said, you can't lead people if you don't love people, and you can't save people unless you serve people. So for the depths of the love that he has for his people and the quality of his service, would you all do me a favor and give Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. a round of applause in his absentia. Bishop Tavis Grant, don't listen to all those people who say that you have some mighty big shoes to fill. No, Bishop, your task is to walk with Reverend Jackson and follow in his fight for justice and find out where he laid those deep tracks and further the journey. For his leadership and his voice for change, give my leader, my friend, and my brother, Bishop Tavis Grant, a round of applause. Hey, over there. Hey, he moves fast. To all the presenters who spoke before me and all the singers and all the musicians, let me thank you for filling our hearts with good information. Let me thank you for filling our heads with good information, our hearts with good inspiration, and filling our feet with good instruction. Having me speak on a forum like this is never a 50-50 proposition. I've already received more wisdom and inspiration than I can possibly give. So let me be time disciplined on my subject. Here come the judges, here come the judges. What an honor to be standing and speaking to these outstanding judges and not on their dockets. These judges, whether they're running for a circuit court judge or appellate court judge or Supreme Court judges, play a critical role in our history. They are the decision makers in criminal cases, in child custody cases, or civil lawsuits and home foreclosures. And voters have a direct say in the judges who decide that they have a huge impact on some of these cases on our lives. And so all the judges, if you've done it already, I didn't see you do it, all the judges that are gathered here today, would you do me a favor and stand up and let people see you? Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, look at that. These are people whose records are often based on obscure points of law. But it's important to elect local judges who understand how their decisions will affect the little man and the little woman, the ones whose voices are too often drowned out in the courtroom. And it is particularly important that we educate ourselves because recent decisions in the United States Supreme Court have drastically curtailed the federal legal protection for Illinois residents in the areas of reproductive freedom and voting rights and safety from gun violence and workers' rights and environmental protections and more. And as a result, the Illinois Supreme Court remains one of the last walls of defense to protect us here in Illinois for rights that we've hard won and hard fought, and they're at risk. And here in Cook County, we get to vote to retain Chief Justice Mary Jane Theus. But in 2 other judicial districts, there are 2 other seats that are up for election in the 2nd and 3rd Judicial District. The 2nd Judicial District includes DeKalb, Lake, Kane, Kendall, and McHenry counties. The 3rd Judicial District includes DuPage, LaSalle, Kankakee, Will, Grundy, and Bureau counties. In the 2nd Judicial District, candidates are Democrat Elizabeth Rochford versus Republican Mark Curran. In the 3rd Judicial District, the candidates are Judge Mary Kay O'Brien, the Democrat, and Judge Michael Burke, the Republican. They're both up for 10-year terms. There are currently 4 Democrats and 3 Republican Supreme Court justices. And if we allow supreme forces to take over the Supreme Court in Illinois, again, many of those hard-won rights we've already won can be at risk. So we're going to put out voter guides. For example, did you know that one of the Supreme Court justice candidates said that when they overturned Roe versus Wade on the national level, he said, this is the moment we've been waiting for. This is why we voted for Donald Trump. We think it's fair at the Citizen Action Protect Our Court campaign to tell the truth about the records of these candidates. And so the Illinois Supreme Court Citizen Action Protect Our Court campaign is going to research and distribute information about rights at risk. We're going to educate our members and our participating organizations, and we're going to have direct voter contact and volunteer grassroots activities, reminding people in those 2 districts to not skip the bottom of the ballot. The bottom of the ballot, in particularly, when you talk about judicial races, are just as important to the top of the ballot. We live in a democracy, and we cannot allow rich people here to buy our Supreme Court. Now, I still believe that organized people can still beat organized money if we are organized enough. Lastly, in the 2020 election, there was a man who practiced law for over 20 years in Rock Island. He practiced labor law and environmental law. He was a charter member of the Illinois Pro Bono Center, which provides legal services to those who couldn't afford to pay high legal costs. He was a member of the Rock Island Human Relations Commission. He was a legal advisor to the Community Caring Conference, which was a neighborhood organization that provided disadvantaged children with access to tutors or computers and mentoring, Neighborhood Watch so that his neighbors could work together to prevent crimes, provided free meals for those in need. This was a people's judge who represented the little man and the little woman whose voices were all too often drowned out. When he stood for retention in 2020, he got 56% of the vote. The problem is he needed 60% of the vote. And there was an 11% drop-off in one of the largest counties, Will County, 11% drop-off from the vote for Biden for president, down to the bottom of the vote for Justice Thomas Kilbride, who was the first sitting Supreme Court justice to ever lose election because of the money. We are not going to let that happen again. I'm so glad that these justices are here to help us continue to demonstrate the importance of making sure that not only do we vote for things at the top of the ballot, like the Workers' Rights Amendment at the top, and for the U.S. Senate and governor and Congress and other elected officials, but we take the time to go down to the bottom of the ballot. We need to educate ourselves because so much is at stake. Finally, I was brought up Baptist. I close more than once, but I guarantee this is my final close. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, we are caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality. We're tied to a single garment of destiny. What affects one of us directly affects all of us indirectly. And so that single garment of destiny, that once you decide and you pull the women's rights thread, then the quilt becomes frayed and it becomes easy to pull on the workers' rights thread, and then the senior pension thread and the voting rights thread and the LGBTQ rights thread and the rights of the environment and the gun violence, that thread, that quilt just becomes unfrayed. So we know that if we stand together, our message is clear, and we get out our vote, then we can collect pro-worker, pro-women, pro-choice, and pro-democracy people up and down the ballot. So get out. So stop your knees from knocking and start some door knocking. Stop your hands from ringing and start some doorbell ringing. Don't look at the pundits and the pontificators and the pollsters. These elections are not going to be won by the margin of error. They are going to be won by the margin of our effort. And so, my brothers and sisters, I learned my values in 3 places. I learned my values in my home. I learned my values in a church. And I learned my values in my public school system without even knowing. I put my hand on my heart and said, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My brothers and sisters, in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, today we educate, let's roll up our sleeves and get to work for liberty and justice for all.
Give it up one more time for William McNary, Citizens Action. You know, I want to thank all of you for being here today. This is a segue into a season of action, mobilization, and raising our voice for what really matters to us. And oftentimes the question is asked, Judge Bush, why should you vote? Or why is the vote so important? Here at Dr. King's workshop, I've spent the better part of my life working and serving alongside Reverend Jackson and many others like Dr. Bob Starks and our beloved Conrad Worrell and others, William McNary and others who trained us and developed us with this sense of obligation and responsibility. You know, when Lyndon Baines Johnson was faced with passing legislation that would radically change the lives of not just African Americans, but all Americans, the saying was, a half a loaf is better than no loaf. And he went to the Senate and the Congress and before the American people and said, give me a Senate and Congress I could work with. Give me something I can work with. When we look at the level of poverty and unemployment and disenfranchisement and the aggressive weaponizing of those on the right that want to take away everything, take away your wages, take away clean water and clean air, take away a woman's right to reproductive health rights, take away voting rights, take away insurance, take away benefits. And there's a difference in their America and the America that we're working for. The America that they're working for is an America that goes back And the America that we're working for is an America that goes forward. And so here at Rainbow Push, I take great pride in serving alongside Reverend Jackson as our founder and our president, because you learn what is really at stake. When you look at the American Rescue Act, many state legislatures would not take that money. And so we had a Congress we could work with that put in that legislation means by which cities like Chicago, like Philadelphia, like Atlanta, like Gary, Indiana, like Cleveland, Ohio, would not have to depend on the state legislature or the governor to get that money. That money could come to those local communities. In many of those communities, they were able to invest that money into schools. Many of those communities, they was able to invest that money into infrastructure. Many of those cities, they could invest that money into health care. But had the other side had their way, thousands and thousands of families would be in the most devastating condition as it relates to the rise of poverty versus the rise of profits. Consider this last piece of legislation that put a cap on insulin, where some seniors are paying $1,200 a month for insulin. The patent on insulin costs $1. The patent on insulin costs $1. And to make 100% profit on insulin, you could sell it at $10 and still be a billionaire. But those who want a different kind of America only want a certain group of people to have access to health care, certain group of people to have access to health insurance. First, a certain group of people to have quality of life institutions. And so when we look at what is at stake and having judges at stake, we have in Cook County an African-American chief judge by the name of Judge Timothy Evans. Give it up for Judge Evans. Many of you don't know that there was an aggressive move to remove him because Judge Evans wanted to do something as it relates to juvenile justice reform. He wanted to give first-time offenders an opportunity not to go in full steam ahead into the penal institution. Wanted to start conflict resolution at the grassroots level and teach young juveniles how to solve problems rather than create them. And they almost got away with it. But we stood up for Chief Judge Evans, and he's still in that position today because judges matter. I'm going to say it one more time. Judges matter. I got some judges in the house, Pam Morris. Judges matter. So you don't vote and somebody vote for you, you get the wrong judge. You get the wrong judge. Right now, African Americans and brown Americans, Hispanics, are suffering from this disease. It's not COVID or cancer. It's called over-sentencing. Over-sentencing. We have people now in pretrial detention, can't afford bail or a lawyer. It starts with the judge. So imagine if you knew who your judge was. And you knew who your alderman was, you knew who your commissioner was, you knew who your state senator was. And you not only know them, but they know you. That's what you call a community. You can't sit up and not vote and then complain about what happens because you didn't vote and then blame the system. You don't like the system? The system only works if you participate in the system. Tell somebody we got to participate. Tell them one more time, we got to participate. So when you look at what is at stake in Georgia, what's at stake in Pennsylvania, what's at stake in Ohio, what's at stake here in Illinois, how in the hell can you say that slave owners were good to slaves and you want to be my governor? Are you crazy? There is nothing good about slavery. There is nothing redemptive about slavery. There is nothing qualitative about slavery, but you would say slave owners were good to slaves. And then you don't vote about it. And this election, your vote matters. Your voice matters. Your community matters. So what's on the ballot? Healthcare is on the ballot. Livable wages is on the ballot. What's on the ballot? Better schools is on the ballot. What's on the ballot? Poverty is on the ballot. You get workers' wages raised, and they have the right to contend for the wage they want to earn and the benefits they deserve. You began to pull people out of poverty into work and in sustainable, affordable communities. So affordable housing is on the ballot. Now, you may not see it on the ballot, but when you vote for the right people, you have a better chance to get the right results. Judge Evans, in the heat of the civil rights movement, it is said that Dr. King and President Johnson were at odds about which way they should go moving forward. And President Johnson said to Dr. King, you got to stop this. You got to stop this because you don't understand. You're outnumbered. You got to stop this. He said, Dr. King, let me put it this way. You're a Baptist preacher. Let me put it this way. Don't you know that most of America has white washing machines, Whirlpool washing machines, GE washing machines? Don't you know that? That should tell you something. He said, no, Mr. President, what you don't know is most of them have black agitators on the inside. And how do you get the dirt out of something that's dirty? You need an agitator. And nothing agitates a culture like the one we have right now than on November 8th, each and every one of us going to the poll and making sure that we raise our vote and raise our voice and vote our choice and put our democracy back together, because this is not their country, this is our country, and this is what democracy looks like. If you're in favor of that, put your hands together and let's get ready to save our democracy. I said, let's get ready to save our democracy. I'll say it again. Let's get ready to save our democracy. I am so excited about this day. I'm excited about this day because who's in this room this day? Because this is where this quest, we have started a 14-state, 25-city tour across America, mobilizing, organizing, and galvanizing our base to do one thing: save our democracy. I want to thank one of the most amazing staff members we have here at Rainbow Push, who has helped put this day together. I want to say our all-encompassing political organizer and political director, Betty Magnus. Come on, give it up for Betty Magnus. When it comes to Betty and I always have the last word, and it's yes. Do not say no to Betty, because she doesn't take no very well, so I've learned to say yes. The Freedom Singers are going to come, and they're going to give us a selection, and then we'll be ready to move our program forward. Let's give it up for our Freedom Singers.
get everybody in this room to clap your hands like this. Come on, everybody clap your hands like this. That's it. Come on, everybody clap your hands like this. We wouldn't be here today to talk about everything that we're talking about if it wasn't for God. So we say this. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great. Come on, clap your hands. Is our God. And all will see how great is our God. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. That's how we're going to make it. That's how we're going to achieve it. With the help of God. Let's sing together. Everybody help us sing it. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great is our God. Come on, clap your hands today. That's it. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. Let's sing it again. I know you know it. Come on, sing it with us. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great is our God. Come on, everybody, clap your hands. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Song simply says this. I lift my hands to give you glory. I lift my hands to give you praise. And I'll praise you, Lord. I'll praise you, Lord. Has he been good? Yeah, yeah. Say, I lift my hands. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. To give you glory. Say, I lift my hands to give you praise. And I'll praise the Lord. I'll praise the Lord. Really make a way. Say, yeah. Say, I lift my hands. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. To give you glory. Say, I lift my hands to give you praise. And I'll praise the Lord. I'll praise the Lord. Will he make a way? Say, yeah. I lift my hands to give you glory. I lift my hands to give you praise. And I'll praise the Lord. I'll praise the Lord. I'll praise the Lord. I'll praise the Lord. I'll praise you, Lord. You've been so good to me. You set my soul free. Gave me the victory. We will make it through it. We will see a change. We will see everything we need. And I'll praise the Lord. Everybody clap your hands. That's it. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. So we say right here, how great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great is our God. That's how we will see change. That's how we will see a difference. With the Lord's help, that's how everything will change. That's how everything we need will come to fruition. With the help of God, the great God that we serve, the great God that brought us here today, the great God that will see us through the end. Can we all sing that together just one last time? Everybody say, how great is our God. Come on, you can sing with us. Sing with me how great. Come on, lift your voice, even in this forum. Say, oh, oh, with me how great. How great is our God. Well, come on and let's celebrate a great God that will bring a great change. Come on, that's it.
Wow. The Freedom Singers. Let's thank them one more time. Clap for the Freedom Singers. I'm going to ask to join me now because we need you like you need us, and together we can make a difference. Everything counts, and it starts with you. I'm going to ask the National Executive Director of Push Excel, Reverend Jeanette Wilson, to join me. Let's give a round of applause for her. Ask her to join me. Everything counts, and it starts with you and your ability to help us help others. We have, under the leadership of Reverend Jackson, we've done, you can see water in our lobby. This coming Monday, we will be sending another truckload of water to Jackson, Mississippi from this building. It is the third truck that we've sent, and Reverend Jackson often touts the reality that our mission never starts with a budget. It starts with fixing a problem. And out of this building, we've served over 200,000 meals during COVID from this building. Clap your hands, from this building. And the person who is joining me now, through Push Excel, we've given over $50 million in scholarships to students from this building. Put your hands together for the work of Jesse Lewis Jackson. We need you, and without you, we can't do it. And your contribution makes a tremendous difference to what we do, not just here in Chicago and around the country, but around the world. In just a few weeks, an amazing group in Switzerland will be once again honoring the work of Jesse Lewis Jackson from Switzerland. This is a big deal, somebody. Clap your hands if you love Jesse Jackson. Receive Attorney Jeanette Wilson.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Notice that everybody else talked about what's at stake with the midterm elections, and I want to talk about what's at stake to keep this organization fighting for you. We fight for every member of the judiciary to make sure that you have the presence and the participation of the citizens to keep you elected, to keep you in your seats, to fight for you when you're challenged improperly. We fight for even the tax collector to make sure that the tax collections are fair and equitable. We fight for county commissioners to make sure that the proper ones are elected to the offices. We can't tell people who to vote for, but we can tell you by presenting to you the best candidates, and we're going to present that a little later. But I want every one of you now to look in your pocketbooks, reach deep within. They always bring the woman up to make the ask. So, it's offering time. I need some offering music. Thank you. Those of you who are on the podium, you shall be the first to express your congratulations, your thanksgiving to the Reverend Jesse Jackson and to Rainbow Push. Seriously, we have not reopened officially until today. We've been open for funerals and for very special events. This is your opportunity. I thank God for Spring Arbor students who are here today. I give them a round of applause. They always come with their presence, with their interest in social justice and the movement, and they also, the school always brings a thanks offering from the professor that's in the very back. And so we thank you, Spring Arbor, for what you already have done and what you're going to do today. And Reverend would ask for a particular denomination. He always starts high and goes low, and so I know you know what's in your bank account, you know what's in your checkbook. If you don't want to write a check, there's a QR code on the cards that you receive, the one with Reverend Jackson's picture that you can carry in your wallet. Flip it over. Turn the card over. Everybody got the card? Hold your cards up. Y'all didn't get a card? Hold your card up. Okay, on the back is a QR code. Just take your phone, take your cell phone, and you can take a picture of the QR code. Young people, y'all know how to scan, and you can make your donation electronically. We want to make it easy for you, but we take checks, cash, money orders. No food stamps, no. Rainbow Push Coalition. Thank you for asking. Rainbow Push Coalition. And I know as the, I know he's an assessor. He assesses things. Assess this room and tell me how much we should expect. He's running for county assessor. I can't tell you his name because Bishop won't let me. Okay. Miss Betty Magnus, she does everything here. When many of us met Betty, she was the one that got you in places that you had not been invited to. Betty would always seat you when you didn't have a seat, and Betty also would collect the money when it was offered up. I know every campaign has a budget. We look forward to you making your contributions to Rainbow Push Coalition, RPC. Okay, first we're going to start with, and each one will tell you what they do, because this will be the last time for many of you who will hear this broadcast. Chief Judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County, what does that mean?
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see all of you and to participate nationally and internationally at this wonderful setting. It's named after Evans. I'm a different Evans, but I claim him too. I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you about the retention of judges. I'm chief judge, and that's great. I'm happy to be chief judge. I was recently elected again as chief judge with no opposition. But you can't be chief judge. Thank you. You can't be chief judge unless you get retained as a judge. And retention means that we are the senior judges. We are the experienced judges. We're the ones who represent you. We stand for justice and fairness. We resolve your cases fairly and expeditiously. That's what we stand for. But in order for us to continue to do our work, nobody's running against us. You will see 60 names on the ballot. If you have not voted already, when you get there, there will be 60 names. And like one of the speakers said, we're at the bottom of that ballot. And it says vote yes or no for these. And you start to say, well, wait a minute, I don't know these people. More 60 people?
That's right.
Who are they? Well, we're here to tell you who we are. We represent 60 people. There won't be 60 of us speaking today, but we represent every ethnic group. We're Caucasian American, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American. We are women and men. We stand for every segment of our society. And while we're at the bottom of the ballot, we have to get 60% of the vote. Now, you may look at me and say, well, wait a minute. Most people can be elected if they get 50% plus one. And normally that's true. But because we don't run against anybody and nobody runs against us, we still have to be accountable. And we are accountable to you. That's why we have to get 60% of you to say yes to each one of us. Now somebody asked me, well, Tim, you got 60 names listed there. Are any of you running against each other? No. I thought it would be obvious that you need a vote yes for each one of the 60 judges who are listed there.
And so, Judge Evans,
yes,
we have yielded because you're chief judge, and we're not voting for all 60, but we are going to vote for some of you who are here today.
We'll take every vote we can get.
That's what I'm talking about.
Of course, I want to recognize judges who have not been elected yet. Tim Wright, I think he deserves a great round of applause.
They're going to get their turn, Judge. Judge.
I didn't know. Well, anyway, That's all right.
That's what chiefs do.
That's what
Give
chiefs
Chief Judge Tim Evans a round of applause who's running for retention.
My punch number is 217. What did I say? 217?
217.
One more time?
217.
All right. Thank you so much.
Now, I could never do that in court, so I just want y'all to let me know. I would not disrespect him like that. I don't want you to think we're voting for all 60. You want to vote yes for those that you know. Ms. Magnus has invited them to come. These are those who were able to come today that we know. You want to know them. Won't you stand, retention judges, and come up and give your name and where you're sitting now? We're retaining them, keeping them.
I'm Sophia Hall. I'm in the presiding judge of the Chancery Division, and my heart is my work as presiding judge of the resource section of the juvenile court, where we work to develop restorative justice responses to kids who are in trouble. And the 3 courts which Judge Evans has created, the restorative justice community courts, where youth and young adults can come and be restored to the community rather than sent off to the nothingness of imprisonment. So thank you very much. I'm also African American, and I am a long part of the Rainbow Push Coalition, and Jeanette Wilson can testify to that. You can find me without finding a punch number. I am right at the top of the list of retention judges. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rainbow Push. My name is Judge William Hooks. I grew up about a mile from here. I'm in this religious fraternity that I'm wearing a sweater for.
Tell them about
We'll tell Reverend Jackson.
Reverend Jackson, Reverend Benjamin Hooks, Jeremiah Wright, and Minister Farrakhan, all the same religious fraternity. All that being said, thank you for this opportunity. I sit in the criminal division. I'm also the presiding judge of the Veterans Treatment Court, where we try to make veterans, America's promise to veterans, better even if they have felony cases. We are partnered with the University of Chicago on that. We have a $350,000 grant to make our veterans get jobs, get homes, transportation, and move about. So with all that being said, like I said, I lived on the same block that Emmett Till did before I came into this world. So please exercise your vote. It's important. Also register to vote, because I need you to be on jury pools. So
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
come before the court, defendants have some possibility of getting people to look like them in the population.
That's right.
Thank you. 243 for me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Judge Thaddeus Wilson. I've been a judge for over 15 years. Most of that time was in the criminal division, also served as a supervising judge in the criminal division. Handled some of the biggest high-profile cases that came through the criminal division. And now I sit in the Chancery Division, handling a lot of the complex business and civil cases. I'm originally from South Carolina, but I moved to Chicago, had the opportunity to be here at Push almost every Saturday morning.
That's right.
Sitting in the office with Reverend and being with Jeanette and Betty. And it's so great now to see the great work that continues on today at Rainbow Push. Thank you all.
Judge.
I am 239, Judge Thaddeus L. Wilson, yes.
All right, good morning. I am Judge Makeda Coutee. I sit in Markham Courthouse in the Domestic Relations Division, and I've been there for about 11 and a half years. I preside over divorce cases, custody cases, domestic violence, and all of those nasty matters. But thank you all for the opportunity of being here. I've always been a supporter of Push, so thank you for having us, and I'm going to be obedient and tell you my punch number is 253. 253. And I vote yes. Thank you very much.
Good morning. All right. I'm the tallest person, so I have to do the mic. Good morning, Rainbow Push family. My
Good
name is
morning.
Fredrina Lyle. I am a supervising judge in the surety section. I sit in the Chancery Division. Judge Hall, who stood up here, is my presiding judge. I currently hear mortgage foreclosure cases. And so as this goes out through the country, we want to say if people get that summons to come to court. If you get a summons and your property is going into foreclosure, come to court. There's help we can offer, but you gotta come to court. I am on the ballot. We are on the back of the ballot. You're gonna have to, I'm not at the top like my presiding judge here, but I am number 275. I've got the name you will remember, Fredrina. My mother and father wanted a boy, and then I surprised them, so they had to make something up. But yeah, we thank you for allowing us to come and speak to everyone who's listening. Thank you guys for being here, because we need this organization to continue the work it's doing in our community desperately, more now than ever. Vote, vote. And as I was walking up, somebody said, remember to tell people you don't have to wait till November 8th. Go out and vote today. Get those votes in and make sure you come home and tell 5 more people to go out and get their vote. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good morning or good afternoon, our Rainbow Kush Coalition family. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Jesse Reyes. I am a justice on the Illinois Appellate Court. I've been on there 10 years. I have previously served as an associate judge in the Circuit Court of Cook County and as a circuit judge in the Court of Cook County. I had the opportunity to have worked with Judge Lyle in the mortgage foreclosure mechanics lien section. Then the opportunity came along to go on the appellate court, and that's where I currently serve. I am a Chicago resident. I've been born, raised, and educated in Chicago. I've always participated in many of the functions and events here at Rainbow Push Coalition, and I want to thank the Rainbow Push Coalition for all the fine work that it does throughout the years. We need this institution here in Chicago continue working as it has done in the past. And again, thank you for having me here. And my number is 213. It's kind of easy to remember because it's the day before Valentine's Day, 213. Thank you.
Now we have judicial candidates who are running across the county or sub-circuits. Countywide, right? You're running countywide. They're running countywide, so wherever you are. Okay, countywide, sub-circuit. Sub-circuit, countywide. Let's go.
Hello, I am Lisa Taylor, and I want you to know I have to say Judge Hook stole my line because my punch is 113 for me. I am on your ballot if you live anywhere in Cook County, countywide, for the Margaret Brennan vacancy. So remember, you must go to the bottom of the ballot. You must vote early, often, just kidding. You can vote today, you can vote tomorrow. You can vote up through November 8th. Thank you so much to Operation Push and all of you for being here.
Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Timothy W. Wright III, and I'm a candidate for judge in the 5th Judicial Sub-Circuit, which I used to call Harold Washington's backyard. I am here because of a call to justice, a call that I heard. And I heard it back in 1982 when I was a second-year law student, and Harold Washington came to UCLA Law School to speak. I heard the call to justice, and I came to Chicago. I heard it again from Nelson Mandela when I went over to be one of the international attorneys that worked on the Constitution that led to his release, and representing Roland Burris, representing the Jacksons. I've heard that call to justice. That's important, and I've heard it from the Cook County court system. And so I am here. I need your support. I need your vote. I need you to also hear that call to justice.
Thank you. Now we invited every.
My number, I'm sorry.
What's your number?
My number is 132.
Y'all having trouble with that number.
132. 132. You know what to do.
Oh, okay. We invited all of the candidates for county commission to come. I don't know where they are. They're running somewhere. And this guy has been under fire for a while. Won't you come and tell us what you're running for?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Fritz Kagi. I'm your assessor, and I'm so glad to be back here at home. I grew up just a couple blocks from here, 53rd and Greenwood, born at Michael Reese Hospital, and I'm a proud graduate of Kenwood Academy. Class of '89, we got any other Broncos in here? All right, very good. And I want everyone this morning to take this moment in, because we are standing here with giants on blessed ground, and we're all meeting the moment together. We've got, thank you, Bishop Grant. Thank you, Reverend Jackson. Thank you, Reverend Wilson. Thank you, our freedom singers.
Yeah.
We have our great Chief Judge Evans.
Yes,
we've
sir.
got our brother judges and sister judge here. And we've got the great Betty Magnus.
Yeah.
And we have Professor Starks here still?
Yeah, he's right there.
Professor Starks. And this is truly blessed ground. For those of you not from the neighborhood, we feel the sense of history right here. We're here in the well of Operation Push, which has done so much for this nation. We've heard today about all the history in our country which comes together here in the neighborhood. We heard about the Civil War, we heard about Reconstruction, we heard about 1919, we heard about Emmett Till. We didn't talk about 2008, what happened there, but it all comes back to here.
That's right.
And we're all here. We have a sense of history, and we have a sense of destiny, and we know what we need to do to meet this moment right now. Right now, I want you to feel that connection that we all have to those who came before us, to the history, to where we are, and where this giant country of 340 million people is right now. And how we can play, how we're playing a part of what we're doing right now. There is nothing more patriotic and all-American than this, right here. No government told us to come here. We're doing this ourselves, we're organizing this ourselves. And it's very special. It doesn't occur in a lot of countries, so we should all give ourselves a hand. Let's do it.
Okay.
I am here.
Fritz.
I'm here as your assessor.
You got 2 seconds more.
Okay, redeeming the promise that you invested in us when we were elected in 2018. This office was a platform for patronage and inequity,
Yes, sir.
and we've delivered on that. We have achieved the Shackman Decree. Our federal monitor is being released from us. That means that the legacy of patronage is gone from our office after all the bad things that were done. Last year was the first time the average property tax bill fell for Chicagoans in over a decade. I'm the first assessor who doesn't take campaign contributions from the lawyers who practiced before us. We had a 41-year-old computer system that we've now modernized. And we're so excited about the next 4 years. So I'm your assessor, and I'm really proud to be with you here, meeting the moment, making our community and our nation better every day. So thank you.
Thank you. Only reason he had extra time because the other county commissioners weren't here to use their time. So I don't want y'all to think we gave him so much more. I want to thank each one of you for joining us today. As I said earlier, we are reopening, and we're not doing a live right away, but we're reopening these town halls so that the community can be informed. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Next week, we're going to have state representatives. We're going to talk about the entire ballot. You know the ballot starts with United States Senate. It goes to United States House of Representatives, drops down to the state. In the state, we have several significant positions around the country: Secretary of State, Attorney General, state attorney generals. It's very important legal positions. And the state Senate, the state representatives, all are running now. And then you drop down to the county. You have county sheriffs running across the nation. And that's an important position. They run the jails. As I was watching this morning in Arizona, the sheriff thought he had more power than the president. And so you have county sheriffs running across America. Those are some important positions because in most small towns, they are the police. They do the arrests and detention. And then after county sheriffs, you have county commissioners. They set budgets for hospitals and for schools outside of some of the major cities. Like in Chicago, we have Chicago public schools, but outside of Chicago, you have these school districts. And so we have county commissioners. We got to vote. Don't get tired on the ballot. Take you some juice in there because it's a long ballot. And judges. Everybody will see a judge before you see anybody else. You will see a judge, whether you're in traffic court, criminal court, I hope not, divorce court, just juvenile. That's a very significant position. Who sits over our children? And so we want to make sure that everybody goes all the way down to the end of the ballot, and then you have some amendments on the ballot that are very important. One of them is this no cash bail that was already passed that people are fighting against. All these judges know what it means to have someone come before them that has not been proven guilty, that cannot make the bail, and they don't have much time to set bail. They don't know these people when they come out of a lockup overnight. They're setting bail just almost arbitrarily. And so when they came up with this no cash bail, it's fair for poor people because rich people can make bail. Y'all say amen. So this is an important midterm election, one of the most important in our lifetime. And for the students from Ann Arbor, call your friends and colleges everywhere. You vote where you're going to school. Vote where Ann Arbor is located. Vote for everybody. Everything I just said is on your ballot there. We have to vote top down. Say top down. Thank you so very much. As the choir comes, we're going to prepare to go. I know these candidates are door knocking, running around the streets. Most of them have been up since 6 this morning, and they'll be out until midnight tonight. I thank you for your time, for your patience, and for your contributions to justice. Thank you, Judge Evans. I know it's very hard for a chief judge to spend this kind of time, but you've always been here. You started here as the 4th Ward Alderman, so we thank you for your service. Everybody, I want you to give, well, there he is, Bishop Tavis Grant a round of applause. Not for what he has done, but for what he will do. Standing in this sacred place is a very difficult position. You don't just get to talk. You have to organize. You have to raise money. You have to embrace people. You have to identify issues and study them. And so give him a big round of applause. Won't you stand? That's the way you give a round of applause. Give him as the choir comes. Go ahead. Hit it, Bob.
I want you to stand and listen, it's COVID, but we good. Grab somebody by the hand. We want to sing this together. We shall overcome. To the work of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, our national staff, our volunteers from all over the country, we thank you for helping us keep hope alive. Look at somebody and say, keep hope alive. Say, keep hope alive. Say, keep hope alive. We shall overcome.
Come on, everybody, let's sing it together. We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall.
We shall overcome.
Someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. We shall.
Overcome someday.
Now let's say it together. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall. We shall overcome. Oh, deep in my heart, I do. We shall. Black and white together. Let's say it. Black and white together. Black and white. Black and white. Someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do. We shall. want to thank you so very much on behalf of Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Jackson family, our national staff. This has been an incredible gathering. Thank you for helping us keep hope alive. Have a